Have you ever scrolled through your phone and felt that sharp sting in your chest? You see someone with the life you want, the better job, the perfect relationship, the body, the money, the recognition, and suddenly your own day feels smaller, darker. You tell yourself it's not fair. Why them and not me? That quiet burn is envy. It creeps in when you least expect it, poisons your peace, and leaves you restless. But here is the truth most people miss. Envy is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It points directly to what you truly value, what you lack, and where your soul is asking you to grow. Today, through the timeless lens of Stoicism, we will listen to what your jealousy is really telling you, and how to turn that pain into quiet power. If this message speaks to you, hit that like button right now to spread this wisdom, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video that can change how you face your inner storms. Let's begin. Number 1. Understanding the true nature of envy. Envy is an old human feeling, one the Stoics knew well. It is not simple anger or sadness. It is pain caused by seeing another's good fortune. Seneca called it a useless emotion because it hurts only the one who feels it. You do not gain what the other person has. You only lose your own calm. The Stoics taught that envy rises when we forget what is truly ours. We chase externals, wealth, status, praise, that are out of our control. When someone else gets them, we feel robbed. But the robbery is in our mind, not in reality. Epictetus said we become slaves to what we desire that is not ours. Envy shows us how attached we are to things that can be taken away. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private notes that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Envy clouds those thoughts. It makes you compare your inside to someone else's outside. You see their highlight and forget their hidden struggles. This comparison is unfair and unwise. The Stoic sees envy as a signal. You're looking outward for worth instead of inward. Turn the gaze back. Ask, what part of their life do I truly want? Often, it is not the thing itself, but the feeling it brings, security, freedom, respect. Envy reveals your unmet needs. The deep truth is that envy thrives on illusion. We think others have it all, but no one does. Everyone carries pain. The rich man fears loss. The admired person fears being forgotten. Envy blinds us to this shared human condition. When you feel it, pause. Do not fight the feeling. Observe it like a passing cloud. This observation is the first step to freedom. The Stoic does not deny emotion. He examines it. By doing so, envy loses its grip. What envy is telling you is simple but powerful. You have desires that matter to you. Those desires are not wrong. They show what you value. The problem is not the desire. The problem is believing your worth depends on getting it right now, or getting it the way someone else did. Shift from, I need what they have, to, I can build my own version of that. This shift turns poison into direction. Practical step. When envy strikes, write down 3 things. First, what exactly you envy. Second, why it matters to you. Third, one small action you could take today toward it. This turns a destructive feeling into constructive energy. The Stoics knew emotions are raw material. Use them wisely. In the end, envy is a teacher. It shows where your soul hungers. Feed that hunger with virtue, effort, and patience. Do this, and envy fades. Not because the world changes, but because you do. Number 2, envy as a mirror to your values. Envy acts like a mirror. It reflects back what you secretly prize most. When you feel jealous of someone's success, it is not random. It points to a value you hold dear, but have not yet lived fully. The Stoics urged us to focus on what is in our power, our choices, our character, our reason. Everything else is indifferent. Yet envy pulls us toward those indifferents. It says, look, that person has what you crave. But look closer. What is the deeper want? Often, it is freedom. Someone has financial freedom, and you envy it because you feel trapped. Or they have confidence, and you envy it because you doubt yourself. The envy is telling you, here is where you need to build strength. Seneca advised contentment with your lot, without wishing for what you do not have. This is not giving up. It is wise focus. Stop wishing for another's life. Start crafting yours around your true values. The mirror of envy also shows gaps in self-knowledge. You may think you want fame, but envy of a famous person reveals you want influence or respect. Use that revelation. Ask, how can I gain respect through my actions today? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to guard his thoughts. Envy enters when those thoughts wander to comparison. Bring them back. Focus on virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, self-control. These are the only true goods. Envy whispers that you're less. The Stoic answer is, you are enough as you are, and you can become better. The person you envy is not your measure. Your progress is. When envy arises, think it quietly. It has shown you a path. Now walk it with discipline. Practical practice. Keep a daily journal. Note moments of envy. Next to each, write the value it reveals. Then list one virtuous action aligned with that value. Over time, envy becomes less frequent because you live more in line with what matters. This is the Stoic way. Turn the mirror inward. See clearly. Act accordingly. Envy stops being a curse and becomes a guide to a deeper, more authentic life. Number 3, the futility of comparison. Comparison feeds envy like dry wood feeds fire. The Stoics saw comparison as a trap. Epictetus taught, focus on what is your own concern. What others have is their business. When you compare, you step outside your control and into suffering. You judge your entire life against a single chapter of theirs. This is foolish. Seneca pointed out that we envy those we call fortunate, but we do not see their full picture. Behind the success is often anxiety, compromise, or hidden pain. The Stoic trains himself to see the whole, not the surface. He knows externals do not bring lasting happiness. Only virtue does. Comparison based on externals is meaningless. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, do not let your mind be disturbed by what others do or have. Keep attention on your own path. Envy dies when comparison stops. You realize their gain is not your loss. The world is abundant in opportunity for those who act. The futility lies here. Comparison ignores time, context, and effort. Someone's success today may come from years of unseen work. Your day of struggle may lead to tomorrow's quiet victory. Envy makes you impatient. Wisdom makes you steady. Practical tool. When you catch yourself comparing, stop. Breathe. Say inwardly, this is their road, not mine. I'll walk my own. Then redirect energy to one task in your control. This breaks the cycle. Over time, you see others not as rivals, but as fellow travelers. Envy fades. Gratitude grows. You find peace in your portion. Number 4, transforming envy into personal growth. Envy is raw energy. The Stoic does not suppress it. He channels it. When you feel that sting, it is motivation in disguise. It shows ambition. Use it. Epictetus said, desire what is in your power. Turn envy towards self-improvement. Instead of resenting another's skill, study it. Learn from it. Seneca advised, do not envy greatness. Imitate it where you can. This shifts from destruction to creation. Envy becomes fuel for virtue. Marcus Aurelius practiced daily reflection. He asked, what weakness did I overcome today? Use envy the same way. It highlights weakness. Strengthen it. If you envy discipline, build habits. If you envy calm, practice mindfulness. Small steps compound. The transformation is deep. Envy no longer owns you. You own it. You decide its purpose. This is true power. The person who masters this lives free. Practical exercise. Next time envy hits, list 3 qualities you admire in that person. Then choose one to practice for a week. Track progress. You will see envy shrink as you grow. This is Stoic alchemy. Turn base metal into gold. Pain into purpose. Envy into excellence. Number 5, cultivating inner abundance. The Stoics taught that true wealth is within. You have reason, will, the ability to choose good over bad. No one could take that. When you live from this inner source, externals lose power. Envy has nothing to grip. Seneca said virtue is free and unbreakable. Build that. Practice gratitude daily. List what you have. Health, breath, the chance to improve. Gratitude crowds out envy. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Be content with your lot, not because it is perfect, but because it is yours to shape. Live with dignity. Help others. Share wisdom. Abundance flows outward." Epictetus urged, "Well, what happens? Accept life as it comes. This acceptance kills envy. You no longer fight reality. You work with it." Practical daily habit. Evening review. Ask, where did I act with virtue today? Where can I do better? End with thanks. This builds quiet wealth inside. In time, you see others' success with genuine joy. Their light does not dim yours. It reminds you of your own potential. This is freedom. This is the Stoic life. Number 6. Envy and the illusion of scarcity. Envy grows strongest when we believe the world is a small place with only so much success, love, or happiness to go around. The Stoics saw this belief as a dangerous mistake. Seneca wrote that the wise man knows the goods of life are not limited like pieces of cake. Virtue, peace, and the power to choose are infinite. They multiply when shared, never shrink. When you feel envy, you are secretly accepting the lie of scarcity. You think if someone else has it, there is less left for you. That thought alone creates pain before any real loss occurs. Look carefully at what you envy. A person's wealth, their partner's affection, their creative talent, their calm under pressure. In almost every case, these are not fixed resources that run out. Money can be earned again. Love can be given and received without end. Talent can be cultivated through effort. Peace can be practiced daily. The moment you see this truth, envy begins to loosen its hold. It was never about them having too much. It was about you believing you have too little. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that the universe is generous to those who align with nature. Nature does not ration sunlight or air. It pours endlessly. The same principle applies to the inner goods we chase. When you stop viewing life as a competition for scraps, envy loses its fuel. You realize another person's sunrise does not darken your own sky. Their light is separate. Yours waits for you to turn toward it. The illusion of scarcity also poisons gratitude. You cannot feel thankful for what you have while staring at what someone else possesses. The Stoic practice is radical reversal. When envy rises, immediately name 5 things you already own that no one can steal. Your breath right now, your ability to reason, the choice to respond with dignity, the memory of a kind act you once did, the strength to endure today. Gratitude is the antidote that starves scarcity thinking. Practical action. The next time envy appears, do not scroll further. Close the app. Sit still for 2 minutes. Speak aloud or write. This feeling tells me I fear lack, but lack is only in my mind. The real goods are already here, and I can grow them. Then take one tiny step toward the thing you desire, not to catch up to them, but to honor your own path. This small ritual breaks the spell of scarcity. Ultimately, envy is a teacher of abundance. It forces you to confront how much you have secretly accepted limitation. Reject that acceptance. Choose to live as though the table is large, the resources are deep, and your place at it is secure. Not because of what others lack, but because of what nature has already given you freely. Live that way, and envy becomes a rare visitor instead of a permanent resident. Number 7. The hidden cost of envy on the soul. Envy is not a harmless emotion that passes quickly. It is a slow thief that steals hours, days, even years from your life. Every moment spent resenting another's fortune is a moment you did not spend building your own. Seneca warned that we are not short of time. We waste it. Envy is one of the greatest wasters. It turns your attention outward in bitterness instead of inward in creation. The cost compounds quietly until you wake up and realize how much life slipped past while you were busy comparing. Consider what envy actually does inside you. It tightens your chest, clouds your judgment, makes ordinary pleasures taste flat. You sit at a beautiful meal, but taste only the fact that someone else's meal looked better online. You achieve something meaningful, but feel no joy because it is smaller than what another person posted. This is the real robbery, not of possessions, but of presence. The Stoics valued being fully here, fully alive in the present. Envy pulls you away from that sacred place. Epictetus taught that no one can harm you without your consent. Envy requires your permission to wound you. You give that permission every time you linger on the thought, they should not have that, or I deserve it more. Each agreement with those thoughts hands over another piece of your tranquility. The wise person notices the thought, labels it, and refuses to sign the contract. They do not argue with envy. They simply do not feed it attention. The deeper cost is to character. Envy breeds small acts of malice, silent judgments, secret hopes for others' failure, reluctance to celebrate genuine success. These habits erode virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote that anger at others' wrongdoing is itself a wrongdoing. The same applies to envy. Resenting someone's good fortune is a quiet betrayal of justice, kindness, and self-mastery. Over time, these small betrayals shape a smaller soul. Practical remedy: create an envy ledger. Whenever the feeling arises, note the time, what triggered it, and how long it stayed alive in your mind. At the end of the week, look at the total minutes or hours lost. Seeing the real number is often shocking and motivating. Use that awareness to set a new rule. Envy may knock, but it may not sit down for long. Redirect the energy immediately into one deliberate, virtuous action. In the end, the soul that refuses to pay the price of envy becomes rich in the only currency that matters: inner freedom. You stop being a debtor to other people's lives. You repay yourself with presence, purpose, and peace. That is the ultimate return on choosing not to let envy steal from you anymore. Number 8. Envy versus admiration. The Stoic distinction. Envy and admiration look similar from the outside. Both involve looking at someone else's good fortune, but they live in completely different inner worlds. Envy says, I hate that they have it because I do not. Admiration says, I love that they have it, and I want to become capable of it too. The Stoics drew this line sharply. Seneca praised those who could look at greatness without resentment. He called that true nobility of spirit. Envy shrinks you. Admiration enlarges you. When envy controls you, the other person becomes a rival, even an enemy. Their success feels like proof of your failure. When admiration leads, the same person becomes a teacher, even an inspiration. Their success feels like proof that such things are possible in the world. Epictetus urged us to keep company with those who are better, not to compete, but to learn. The envious person avoids the better. The admirer seeks them out. That single choice changes the trajectory of a life. Marcus Aurelius practiced looking at skilled people with curiosity instead of jealousy. He asked, how did they become this way? What habits, what endurance, what corrections did they make? That question turns pain into a curriculum. Envy has no questions. It only has accusations. Admiration asks and listens. It is humble. It is active. It moves you forward instead of holding you in bitter stillness. The distinction is practical, not theoretical. You feel the difference in your body. Envy is hot, tight, restless. Admiration is warm, open, energized. When you catch envy rising, pause and ask one honest question: would I rather destroy their achievement or develop the same capacity in myself? If the honest answer is the second, you have already begun the shift from envy to admiration. Practical exercise. Choose one person you often envy. Write their name at the top of a page. Underneath, list 3 specific strengths you see in them. Then write one concrete step you can take this week to move closer to that strength. Do not aim to surpass them. Aim to respect yourself more. Repeat this practice monthly with different people. Over time, your default response to excellence changes from resentment to reverence. This shift is one of the quietest, but most powerful transformations a human being can make. You stop seeing the world as a battlefield of winners and losers. You start seeing it as a school of virtue where every example, even painful ones, can teach you how to live better. That is the Stoic heart. Open to truth, closed to bitterness. Number 9. The role of envy in revealing false goals. Envy often chases goals you never consciously chose. It simply points at what other people value and tricks you into believing those are your values too. Social media accelerates this deception. You see curated lives, travel, luxury, applause, and feel a sudden hunger. But is it really your hunger, or is it borrowed? The Stoics demanded ruthless self-examination. They asked, are you pursuing what is good in itself, or what appears good because others pursue it? Seneca warned against living according to other people's applause. He said most of us die still imitating someone else's life. Envy is the loudest prompter of imitation. When you feel that sharp pang, stop and interrogate the desire. Ask, if no one else could see whether I achieve this, would I still want it? If the answer is no, then envy has exposed a false goal. Drop it. If the answer is yes, then the desire is yours. Pursue it without comparison. Marcus Aurelius kept returning to the question, what is the object of my life? He refused to let passing impressions dictate his direction. Envy is the strongest passing impression of all. It flashes someone's life and says this is what matters. The wise person does not accept the flash at face value. They test it against reason, against nature, against their own deepest sense of meaning. Most envied things fail that test. The revelation can be painful but liberating. You may discover that what you envy most, fame, endless travel, constant excitement, is not truly good for your soul. It may be restless, shallow, dependent on others' approval. When you see this clearly, envy collapses under its own weight. You no longer need to chase shadows. You can turn toward real, enduring goods, self-command, kindness, clarity of thought, usefulness to others. Practical method. Make a true north list. Write 10 things you would want said about you at the end of your life. Things no Instagram post could capture. Keep that list visible. When envy strikes, read it. Ask, does this envied thing move me closer to those 10 sentences or farther away? Most often, it moves you farther. That awareness alone dissolves much of the pain. In the end, envy is a faulty compass. It points wildly at whatever shines brightest in the moment. The Stoic replaces it with a steady inner North Star. Once that star guides you, envy no longer misleads. It simply becomes another passing cloud in a much larger, clearer sky. Number 10. Living envy-free. Living without envy is not an accident. It is a daily discipline, built brick by brick through small, repeated choices. The Stoics did not wait for perfect conditions to practice virtue. They practiced in the middle of imperfection. Envy will never disappear completely, but it can lose almost all its power over you. The path is simple in theory, demanding in execution. Awareness, redirection, and gratitude practiced every day. Start with awareness. Most envy operates in the dark. You feel the sting, but do not name it. The moment you name it, this is envy, you take away half its strength. Epictetus said we're disturbed not by things, but by our judgments about things. Label the judgment clearly. I'm judging that my life is lesser because of what I just saw. That clarity weakens the emotion immediately. Next comes redirection. Do not try to suppress the feeling. That only gives it more energy. Instead, channel it. Seneca advised turning obstacles into opportunities. Envy is an obstacle. Turn it into a signal. Here is something I value. Here is where I must act. Take one small, concrete step toward it that very day. Action kills rumination faster than any pep talk. Gratitude seals the discipline. Marcus Aurelius ended almost every entry in his journal with thanks for the people around him, for the chance to improve, for the breath in his lungs. Evening review became his ritual. What did I do well today? Where did envy try to enter? How did I respond? End with deliberate thanks for what already is. This habit starves envy of oxygen. Build these 3 practices into your routine. Morning intention. Today I will notice envy and turn it to action. Midday pause. When you feel the sting, name it and redirect. Evening reflection. Name the victory over envy and give thanks. Do this consistently for 30 days. You will notice the emotion arriving less often and leaving much faster. Finally, remember the Stoic promise. Freedom is not the absence of difficult feelings, but the mastery of them. An envy-free life is not one without any envy at all. It is one in which envy arrives as a brief guest. is met with calm understanding, is offered useful work, and then quietly shown the door. That is the disciplined, dignified, deeply peaceful life the Stoics lived, and the one still available to you today. Envy is not a flaw you must hide or a poison you must destroy. It is a messenger that arrives only because something inside you still hungers for a better version of yourself. The Stoics never asked us to feel nothing. They asked us to feel everything with clarity and respond with courage. Every pang of jealousy you have ever felt is not proof of your weakness. It is evidence of your potential. It points straight to a value you hold dear, a strength you have not yet fully claimed, a life you have not yet fully lived. Instead of letting it burn you from within, let it light the way forward. Listen without judgment. Ask what it truly wants, not the surface thing, but the deeper good beneath it. Then take one honest step toward that good today. This is how pain becomes purpose, how comparison becomes clarity, how a restless heart finds its steady rhythm. The freedom the Stoics promised is not the absence of difficult feelings, but the mastery of them. You will still see someone else's success and feel that familiar tug. The difference is that now you recognize it for what it is, a signal, not a sentence. You no longer hand over your peace to someone else's highlight reel. You no longer measure your worth by their wins. You return to what is truly yours, your choices, your character, your next deliberate action. With each time you choose gratitude over resentment, effort over envy, presence over rumination, you build an inner fortress that no external fortune can shake. This is not a quick fix or a one-time decision. It is a daily practice, quiet and unglamorous, yet more powerful than any outward achievement. The person who masters this lives lightly, loves generously, and walks through the world without the weight of constant comparison. So here is the Stoic promise to carry with you. The life you secretly envy is not locked behind someone else's door. It is waiting in the small, repeated choices you make starting right now. You already have everything required. Reason to see clearly, will to act rightly, and the present moment to begin. Trust that process. Honor the messenger by acting on its message. And when envy knocks again, welcome it briefly, learn from it quickly, then close the door with calm resolve. You are not racing against others. You are building yourself, brick by brick, into someone who can look at any success in the world and feel only quiet respect, or better yet, genuine joy. That is the victory no one can take away. Thank you for watching. If this spoke to you, like the video, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay steady. Keep going.